meeting together for Wednesday, October 18th at 2 o'clock. Can we get a roll call?
Okay. Start with Richard Hartwig.
Here.
Tom Sager.
Here.
I should be saying Commissioner Hawks. Sorry.
Here.
Commissioner Wheeler.
Here.
Chairman Wheeler. And we've got Ryan and Tara both absent currently, but should be showing up soon.
All right, so it looks like we have enough for a quorum. To start off, we got a public hearing, or excuse me, start off, we have approval of August 16th, 2023 minutes. Move to approve. We have a motion. We have a second? Second. We got a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion needed? Doesn't look like we'd have any. All those in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carries. Next up, we have a public hearing, conditional use 2023-01-CU, the Calvary Chapel renewal. This should be familiar for most of us. I think, yeah, most of us were here the last time this came through, so I'll hand it off to staff. We can do a staff report. From there, we'll go into a public hearing and then back into the planning commission meeting for the vote. So planning staff, go ahead.
Right.
Okay, and I just wanted to, note for the minutes that it looks like Tara Perkins has joined. Hi, Tara.
Hi, I'm here.
Thanks. Take it away, Brian.
All right. So this is 2023-01-CU. This is a conditional use application for the Calvary Chapel in the downtown zone. Since this is a conditional use, the planning commission's decision is final unless appealed, which would then push it to the city council for a decision. The applicant is Carlos Martinez, who represents the Calvary Chapel Church. The address is 360 South Broadway Street, which is tax lot 34E29AA 02500. Next. Here you can see the property located on Broadway Street, right downtown. Next. As you can see, it is centralized in the downtown zone. Thanks. The applicant is proposing to continue using this space for their church services. They will have bi-weekly church services, Sunday between 10 a.m. and 1:30 p.m. and Wednesdays from 6 to 8:30 p.m., which will continue to include approximately 20 vehicles during those service times to the downtown zone. They will also offer Bible study and light church services during the week and are closed on Mondays. They will continue to have 5 to 10 vehicles coming and going on the weekdays that do not have the main service. No change in this property is proposed at this time. The proposed property is in the Mason Building, which you can see here. I'm sure you're all familiar with it. Since the proposed use is listed as a conditional use in the downtown zone, it is subject to the criteria outlined in 16.88 conditional uses and 16.26 the downtown zone. The use is listed as excuse me. In order for this to make it to the planning commission for approval, it must meet the following criteria. You can see this up here. The use is listed as a conditional use in the underlying zone. The downtown zone lists this as a conditional use. Oh, excuse me, sorry. The downtown zone lists as a conditional use all the conditional uses in the R1, R2, and R3 zones. Church is a conditional use in the R3 zone, which means that this is a conditional use here. Let's see. The characteristics of the site are suitable for the proposed use. Oh, go back. We're going to be on this for a little bit. Okay. So these are the characteristics that it has to meet. Size and shape needs to be considered. This 0.17 acre lot has operated without incident or complaint, and staff finds no evidence that the size or shape of the property conflict with this use. The location. The downtown zone encourages mixed uses and the use of church is in this zone does not conflict with the mix of uses located in the zone. Topography, this lot is flat and the building already exists on the property. Therefore, staff see no topographical issues. Improvements, Broadway is already constructed and all utilities are present. Natural features, no natural features such as streams or creeks are present on the property. The next criterion, the next is the site and proposed development is timely, considering the adequacy of transportation system, public facilities, and services existing or planned. Staff finds that the proposed use will not increase the current levels of traffic to the area. Over the last 3 years of their operation, no issues have been reported. Next criterion is the use will not alter the character of the area in a way that unfairly limits the use of surrounding properties. Staff finds no concerns have been brought, no concerns have been brought to staff's attention from the surrounding agencies, businesses, or public at large. Staff finds no evidence that this use would limit, impair, preclude the use of surrounding properties. Proposal meets the comprehensive plan goals. The use does not conflict with the goals outlined in the 12 chapters of the comprehensive plan. Staff finds that it aligns with the goals set in chapter 5, which addresses the preservation of culture in the city of Estacada. Chapter 7, which addresses economic development of the downtown and to encourage the downtown zone to be a walkable and mixed use district. This use will encourage more foot traffic downtown during those hours that are less likely to draw people to the area. Staff has found the above criteria to be met. Next. All right, the next, so this is part of EMC 16.88 is a list of powers set to the Planning Commission, which you guys have over the conditional use decision. One of these powers is the ability to set a time limit on this conditional use decision. The applicant has asked to have you consider an extended or permanent conditional use for the church. The previous conditional use was 3 years ago, which is why they are back. They would like to prevent having to do this as soon or never again if possible. I will remind you all of this power again at the end of the presentation. Okay. The other criteria that is outlined in the code is for the downtown zone, which is EMC 16.26. Since there is no development of a building proposed, much of this chapter is not applicable. There is no off-street parking required on Broadway between 2nd Avenue and Highway 224, and the proposal is between those two streets. The rest of the chapter explains requirements for the building itself. Since there are no proposed changes to the property, we can ignore those requirements due to them being met when the building was erected. Next. There were no comments from agencies and staff, have no recommendations for conditions of approval. Staff does, however, recommend applying a permanent approval of the chapel, but limiting the conditional use to the Calvary Chapel only. If a different church wanted to come to this location, they would have to go through the conditional use process on their own. Next. We have received one testimony from the owner of the building, Tim Weil. Tom Weil. Oh, did I put Tim? Sorry, typo. And you can find his testimony in the packet. Next. All right, these are your options for a motion. Move to approve 2023-01-CU with either a permanent or extended approval with no conditions. You can move to approve 2023-01-CU with either a permanent or extended approval with the following conditions, which you guys come up with. Or you can move to deny 2023-01-CU on the basis that the proposal fails to meet the following approval criteria, which you would come up with. Next. Any questions?
Yeah. It's been 3 years since you've come to town. How about 14 months? It seems like we did this just yesterday.
I'm sure that's how they feel too.
I got the opportunity to read through here, and I like what they have done and what they're doing. And not that anybody's asked my opinion, but I'm going to give it anyway. I think they should have it permanently as long as they're in the building. And the next people, whoever, they can apply for a conditional use at that time.
I disagree with him only because of the parking. I cannot tell you it was them that did it. Or does it, but on Wednesday nights, when you're going out to dinner, there's no parking spots. I realized when we did this, they agreed to come over here and park, but that takes away the store parking. So I don't know how that can be redeemed, but I'm not in one of those walking moods anymore. I can't walk as far. And it was just kind of discouraging that what is everybody else saying? So I want us to realize what we're doing to the parking out here on Wednesday. Sunday, okay, nobody's open. I understand that, but Wednesday is a problem.
So let's do this. Does anybody have the sheet that I need to read before we get into the public hearing?
Yeah, I got one.
About the sufficient specificity?
Yeah, specificity.
Former chair Tom Sanger has one that I'm gonna steal from him. Okay. Thank you, sir. So let's do this, guys, just so we're following the proper procedures. Is there any other quick questions on the staff report itself? From us? Okay, let's do this. We're gonna jump into the public hearing, and then after the public hearing, we can discuss as a commission how we want to proceed. So statement about evidence presented at the hearing. Any issue which may be the basis for appeal to the city council must be raised prior to the close of the record of the final evidentiary hearing on the specific application. Such issues shall be raised with sufficient specificity as to afford the planning commission and the parties adequate opportunity to respond to each issue. Failure of an issue to be raised at the hearing or in person or by letter, or failure to provide sufficient specificity to allow the planning commission and other parties adequate opportunity to respond to the issues precludes appeal to the city council. So now with that being said, we can have the applicant come up and speak. Go ahead and introduce yourself and we can, do we have a mic? Oh yeah, it's sitting there on the table. And
Good afternoon. My name is Carlos Martinez. I'm the pastor for Calvary Chapel, Estacada, and we've been here for almost 4 years. And thank you very much for just holding this hearing and giving us the opportunity also to share. If I may, can I answer Mr. Sager's statement or question?
absolutely.
Okay. Wednesdays, we do have service. We have it at 7 p.m. And at this time, we probably have a total of 12 people coming, which would probably be 4 or 5 cars. We have 6 parking slots, 6, 7, 8 parking slots on the back of the building. So at this point, I don't see how it would affect at all any of the other businesses and so forth. In addition to that, I believe it helps the businesses because it brings in more additional people that they can go and have a bite to eat or whatnot in the neighborhood. And I'll be happy to answer any additional questions that any of the commissioners may have.
Does anybody have any questions for the applicant? I think we're good on questions right now. We might call you back up if there's something else that comes up though.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I do have one.
Oh, go ahead.
Yes.
Did you pay $1,500 to come to this?
$9.50, sir.
What I'm saying is, I agree with him. I said, this is
Okay,
ridiculous.
okay.
We'll discuss it
We'll
here
get
after,
there. We'll get there.
after the public hearing.
Thank you for your answer.
Thank you, Mr. Hartwig.
Is there anybody else in the audience who would like to speak on behalf of the applicant? Is there anybody that would like to speak against the application? Or how about just come up and speak? Well, I'm not seeing anybody. Okay, so with that, if we have no further questions for the applicant, we'll go ahead and close down the public hearing and re-enter the planning commission meeting. And so at this point in time, planning commission, Tara, I hope you're still with us online there. We have
Yep.
Okay, thank you. We have the three opportunities to approve this application, extend it if needed, make some conditions of approval or deny it. So let the discussion begin. Tom, you had a,
In my opinion would be continue what we have chartered and have always done. I understand the cost and we aren't here to debate on the cost. That's up to the city to send stuff to the council to get it sent, to change it. Do I recommend it change? Yeah, we should double it. We should never give free access to anything. And that's what basically all until they move out. No, I disagree.
if Calvary Chapel changes its name to Calvary Chapel and Bar, would this whole thing go away?
That's what I said.
That's a good question. Taylor, do you have an answer to that?
Or, and restaurant? I'm not advocating to do this, or a cafe.
You're asking if so in the original approval, which is an exhibit in the packet Brian put together. I just had it pulled up. Here it is. One of the original conditions of approval said, this approval is limited to the Calvary Chapel Church Organization for twice weekly services and daily light programming at 360 South Broadway. So we could reiterate the same condition of approval. It would be if there was some question in the future as to whether the change in their operation or the services they were providing, or if they wanted to become a church / brewery.
It was kind of a facetious question, but I mean, we're debating whether they're allowed to be here for people to gather and whether they're gathering around a glass of beer or wine or a Bible.
Right. Well, and
that seems to be the issue.
A restaurant or a bar is something that is allowed outright in that zone. And so if they were to change in a way that they were adding on some component that's already an outright allowed use, then that would be easy for us to just permit. Whereas if they were changing in some way that they were adding on another use that's different from this conditional use they've already been approved for, and it's a conditional use in the zone, then we would have to update this whole process. But if it's the same people, basically, if it's the same church, then this approval would stick with them. We're proposing, like, we staff have discussed this, and we think it'd be administratively better and also reasonable to make this a permanent approval just tied to that one church organization. And then if they close down and there's a gap in that space being utilized for that use, and then a new organization came in, they would have to go through a new process. But if they were, continuing to operate in a similar manner, and they even, sold the church to a different owner, and but they were continually operating according to what was described and discussed in this report, then this conditional use approval would stick to that continual operation.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, I derailed the conversation by offering up the bar or restaurant idea, but it was more or less to prove a point that people gather for different reasons, and I don't see the delineation of it, but anyway, I can't make a motion, but if I could, I would. So I'm relying on somebody else to either discuss more or make a motion as needed.
I'll make a motion to permanently approve. I'll make a motion to permanently approve the process that they're going through right now. How's that?
So we have that motion
Seconded.
and seconded. We can continue to discuss Tara, do you have anything to add?
No, I mean, it seems crazy to make them, it sounds like they're spending money to come back and do this every 3 years and yeah, I don't really see the reason to do that.
Okay, thank you. Any other thing?
I don't know if I want to ask this question.
You don't have to, we can just vote.
Don't ask it.
You know what it is?
I'm pretty sure I do. Don't ask it.
No, call for the vote.
All right, all those in favor, please raise your right hand. Tara, we can't see your hand.
I'm raising my hand
Okay, so we got 4
by
yeas
myself in my office.
and all those opposed, 1 nay. So, you guys are approved for the time span that you guys are there. You can deal with the planning staff to make it official, and then you shouldn't have to come back in here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
If you do the bar and grill, you owe Ben Wheeler some money.
No, you don't. No royalties due. Thank you. We have some further commission business, which is kind of new for us. We have a Park and Recs discussion, first on the agenda portion, so.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna note, the item C, is gonna need to be, we're not gonna be able to address that today. We had put that on the agenda, working with the city recorder and Clackamas County on a street naming, basically like a clarification or confirmation process that's gonna require planning commission to, review and approve an ordinance, and that all happened right before Sadie broke her leg and things got delayed. So that will come back to you, but we're not going to be able to do that today. And then this first item, the park and recreation discussion. So last month, was it last month? Yeah. Some of you, made it to the joint meeting with the Parks and Recreation Commission, who you all recently discussed, the concern with making sure that there's enough park area and park facilities and recreation facilities being provided as the city continues to grow. And so you started off that you've had a few discussions about that now, and at your most recent discussion, just as a planning commission, you guys were talking about the need to coordinate this with, of course, the Parks and Rec Committee and then the City Council. And so we invited the Parks and Rec Commission to hold that joint meeting. Some of you were able to attend, and that was a great discussion. Got through a lot of the same topics and issues. They brought up a few new considerations, and they're generally on board with the direction that it sounded like the Planning Commission was wanting to take things. We let them know that if the next steps are, it sounds like the next steps, this is our question for you. Do you, the Planning Commission, agree that the next steps are going to be basically bringing this conversation to the City Council? And if that is one of the next steps, we staff won't be able to provide good support for that until early next year, because we've just got a ton of stuff on our plates right now. We're trying to get this TSP adopted. And so we let the Parks and Rec Commission know, like, we would love to support you through bringing this to a conversation with council, but it's going to have to be January or February. That being said, the Parks and Rec Commission and the Planning Commission, you all as a group can continue to discuss it by all means. And so at this meeting today, we kind of wanted to find out what more do you want to discuss about that? Do you want to kind of plan out some specific next steps, or would you like to punt this agenda item to maybe your January meeting date? So sort of open-ended discussion opportunity here on that ongoing topic.
Planning Commission, any direct thoughts on this?
Tara, have we, Taylor, have we, gotten to any specifics with the amount of land or, money that would be provided by a developer?
You mean the specific amount, like percentage that would be required?
Yeah, have you guys kind of settled on something that's,
We haven't settled on anything, so we presented what other jurisdictions do. Could you turn me down just a little bit? Sorry, it's really hot. 11, thanks. Oh, okay. We haven't gotten to the point where we have come up with concrete recommendations yet, but there are a number of directions that we could go. There's also some code that exists for plan developments that we could look at, like what the city is recommending right now, or what the city's requiring now for plan developments. And that could go into the code that could inform the code that we recommend for this, but we haven't done any concrete.
It's kind
we're
of
just
a,
looking at direction?
oh, sorry.
We're just looking at direction then.
Yeah, we're looking for, the conversation so far has been trying to figure out a general direction. What are the big ticket, priorities and desired outcomes, desired changes that we expect we're going to want to make, that we'd like to recommend that the city council makes, and that we think they would want to, that they would agree we should make. And so, yeah, we staff, not only are we probably too busy to have been working much on this anyway, but we should wait until the city council gets to discuss this with you. We wouldn't want to get too far on drafting up these amendments and then find out that the city council disagrees with them, right? So the next step, one of the next steps really should be that conversation with city council, and just make sure that everybody is on the same page about the general changes that we want to see before we staff go in and dig into those details really deeply.
Sounds like January.
I think it makes sense for us and the city council to get together before you guys really dig into it too deep. It'd be nice to have a general direction, and then we can kind of take this idea and put it together. Paul, you got something?
Yeah, I want to verify too, because it sounds like at this point you're doing a great job of keeping it in front of us here, but letting us know that it's going to be delayed before we can get to any actionable items. But from my notes on here, I've got down 4 things, and I want to see if that's something that we discussed or if that's something that was in the master plan already. And I think this came from you, Alan. It says my heading is Parks Master Plan, 4 bullet points. 1, pursue 2 to 3 new neighborhood parks by 2035. 2, adopt a function-based dedication and design standard, I think, for dedication of park space. And then 3, develop criteria and guidelines for land transfer. But then I've got number 4, develop policy for land dedication. Were those in the plan already, or those things that?
Those are recommendations in the plan.
Okay, so those are actively in the plan.
Mhm.
And it sounds like from some of the discussion that we had, we were looking to bolster our requirements for developers when they
Yes.
come in for new subdivisions, and then also talk about possibly dedicating some maybe SDC funds or something like that to a larger purchase for a city park.
I know that that's something that Ryan was really pushing for. Yeah.
Mhm. All right, I just wanted to clarify some of that. I think those are good discussions to have down the line.
Mhm.
Question on the SDCs right now. I'm looking on the city website, trying to decipher which one pertains to this. Are we paying $6,500, or are developers paying $6,500 per lot for SDCs for parks?
I don't know, Taylor, do you know the specific, or Brian?
No, Brian.
Yes, that is the correct answer. And so, multifamily or residential looks like falls into that bucket too? Or is it like a
Any
weighted?
residential does, but if it's commercial. They, hold on, let me-
I'm looking at the table here and I'm just trying to figure out. So at current times, where is that $6,500 going and how is it getting utilized?
That's probably a question we'll need to follow back up on, because our SDC, we would have. My understanding is we should have specific projects, or at least project categories that have to be outlined in the SDC
Hi.
schedule in order to, oh, hi, Elena.
I can tell you what we've used it on recently. So we've used it on adding play equipment, like the Gardner Park play equipment that has gone in. So that's what we have used it on recently.
Do we have like a current balance of that?
I'd have to ask Sadie when she gets in.
Cause it is one of the points that, Counselor Strobel brought up was purchasing land. Is that even a option?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, and even if,
Financially feasible, yes, or like, yes, it's a good idea.
Purchasing land is an option for SDCs for parks.
So it's legally.
It's legal. It's not necessarily something that we've done.
Gotcha.
and even if the balance, it's a little bit irrelevant what the current balance necessarily is, because even if the balance isn't enough, even if the current balance isn't enough, if our methodology is set up that we know we're collecting, this proportion of SDCs with new development, and we have this trajectory of new development, we can finance based on the anticipated SDC revenue. So even if that current balance isn't high enough for us to make some kind of land acquisition, I believe we could still finance a land acquisition based on what we have in the SDC methodology.
Generally speaking, SDCs go towards new growth. So we couldn't use it to maintain a current park. We could use it to build new park structures, even if we currently own the land like we did. I'm sure we used part of SDC funds to do the Wade Creek Park expansion.
Can those be used to enter I'm not gonna use the right term, like a joint use or a mutual use agreement, like with, say, Timber Park or the school to further improve what they have?
I don't know. I think we have to own it, but I'm not entirely sure.
That's something to, let's check with Sadie and Kurt, because that would be dictated by whatever, there are many sections of Oregon revised statute that determine what you can and can't do with SDCs.
Yeah.
But I think between Sadie and Kurt, we could try to get that question answered, and we will do that.
Should we maybe compile a list of questions, and then when we schedule the city council planning commission joint meeting, we can talk about the big picture and like how we want to navigate things. And then as we move into the new year, if we kind of get a collective nod, we can start marching forward methodically.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, that would be a great thing to do. I mean, we've already gotten a few great questions from you all today. If we could hear any more questions that you have, we can note those down and just add those to our running. We already have a running list of questions that have come up on this topic throughout our various discussions. So yes, I think that's a great idea. What else?
Okay.
What else do you got?
Tara or the rest of the planning commission, is there any other questions pertaining to parks that we need to ask or discuss before we move into that planning of the joint meeting?
I don't think so. I mean, for me, we went through a lot of it before, and I'm just really interested in seeing us be more in line with what the other municipalities around here are doing. So yeah, it seems like we're on track.
Okay. One question I do have is, North Clackamas has a, like a bona fide parks district, and I think Malala does too. What, I don't know if this has come up in the discussion, I can't remember it, but, we're not necessarily proposing that we have a parks district that has like a taxing authority, right? It's more of just a little more clarity on where our parks funds go and how we develop them as the development comes along.
I thought the discussion was more on the land itself, not necessarily a
Yeah.
parks district.
Okay,
That's kind of the scope, is just the land use part, like the development code part of this. The SDC's part is more for, I guess that would be something the council would just decide on.
The SDCs are decided by the CIP, so the list of improvements that we have planned. And then we use that methodology to build the spreadsheet that
Okay.
Brian uses to chart. So it's a process.
gotcha. Okay. I just wanted to make sure we weren't going like that far into like a Estacada Parks District or something of that nature that we probably don't necessarily need at this point.
No, we don't need, and I don't think we have the staff to manage.
Perfect. Okay. Well, I guess moving forward then, if there's any questions that come up with parks, we can direct them to the planning staff. And then we'll rely on you guys to figure out a time.
Well, at the park, the meeting,
With Parks and Rec?
the double meeting,
Mhm.
they like the idea that we're getting you guys intact and then get a good hit on January, didn't they? That's what I heard. No?
And then get,
Huh?
I'm sorry, I don't think I understood what you just said.
Well, when we were talking at the end, before they adjourned to another part of it, they wanted to, they liked the idea, just like we do, of getting everything intact. And they didn't have any problem with the January time, did they? They were kind of pushing that.
I don't remember talking about January at that meeting.
I think it came, I mean, I described to them that we would not be able to bring this to,
Right.
well, we were talking about next steps, and I think one of them, maybe their chair, Vincent, was saying, okay, how do we move this forward? How can we prevent this from being delayed unnecessarily? And so I was describing just the staff capacity, like we want to be able to support this meaningfully and well. And that's going to need to wait until after the new year. And so, yeah, I think we did talk about
Right. you did,
January, maybe February.
And that's where they said that they didn't have that too much of a problem. They wanted to go, but so what we're talking about now is keep it moving, but still go into January, right?
Yes,
Yeah. So we're really talking about the same thing.
I think so.
So we'll just rely on you guys to create that joint meeting for us. Let us know. I prefer, 2 or 3, maybe a month in advance if possible. I'm sure council loves a little bit fair warning too. And then we can go from there in January. Sound good? Oh, go ahead.
Alan, are
Yeah.
there any subdivisions or anything coming up that this could possibly affect?
I don't believe so. I don't imagine that we would. Well, I mean, if any, yeah, we don't have any subdivisions that have applied at present, and if they had, this, whatever changes will be made eventually wouldn't apply to them.
However, if the,
Well, except for the SDCs.
Yes.
unless that's-
if
yeah.
the SDC methodology gets updated to increase the amount of SDCs we're collecting on new development, and by adding more projects into that methodology, then that would capture some of the new subdivisions that have already been through land use approval but haven't yet fully built out, because the SDCs get charged at the time of the actual home development, rather than at the time of land use approval. But in terms of land dedication or the provision of park space, what Alan said is correct. There aren't any in-process subdivision applications that would be affected by that.
Thank you. All right, so it sounds like we're good on the parks discussion at this point in time. Okay. Next up, we have interview applicants for our vacant seat on the planning commission. And I believe, we just have the one application? All right. It's been a while since I've went through this process, so anybody want to maybe refresh me? We just have him come on up and tell us about himself? Okay. Scott, welcome to the planning commission here at City of Estacada. If you want to introduce yourself and give us a little rundown on why you think you're a good candidate here, that'd be awesome.
I got it. Okay, good. Hi, I'm Scott Stahl. I've been a resident in Estacada for, it's going on 5 years now, I guess. I'm retired. I retired from Frito-Lay, where I was a sales manager, program developer, analyst. I don't know. I had so many hats. I can't even tell you. I kind of moved around as interest. Well, what else can I tell you? I do a number of things. I was 6 years with the city when I lived in Gresham. I was in budget and finance, and I was the chairman of the budget and finance committee for 2 years, and that was back in the 90s. And after a while, I really didn't do much because my job responsibilities took me all over the country, so I really didn't get a chance to do much else until I retired. Currently, I think I work with a budget and finance here with the city of Estacada. What little we do. And I worked with the Aging Services Council. And, you know, I pick up projects where I find interest, you know, and things I can learn because I know I don't know it all. And I learn new things all the time. And I'm a huge reader. I read a lot of things. And I thank you for bringing up the $650,000 that or $6,500 thing I got. When I saw that, I thought it was a little interesting anyway. I don't know. What questions do you have for me? I'm probably a little better in that realm.
What makes you want to be a part of the planning commission?
Well, again, I'm a forever student. And, you know, you learn new things all the time. And planning and development from a business standpoint has always been something I've been involved in. As an analyst, I took care of product supply analytics and things for PepsiCo, which more specifically Frito-Lay for the greater Northwest region. And, you know, we're talking, I don't know, about $500 million a year in sales, something like that. And, you know, I learned a lot there. I came in kind of as a newbie to that too. And at the end of it, I came out with a whole different perspective of things and how things grow. And you know, this opportunity presented itself to me and I thought, look, now here's something I haven't seen before, you know, and, you know, I know the language is so important. I think I came in on top of the Parks and Rec conversation last time where we were discussing about developing parks and stuff like that through SDCs and stuff, and something I know something about, you know, and you know, the language became interesting to me, you know, and I know you guys kind of wrestled with your language. What I heard, you know, you were suggesting that, you know, developers do that for you. And I thought, as I told Ben earlier, I think I said, you ever suggest anything to a developer, you kind of tell them where they need to go. And you know, the same worked in the business world too. We'd never suggested anything to anybody. We kind of told them what needed to happen, you know. And you know, Estacada is going to be growing. There's no two ways about it. You know, I see it every day out there, you know, new developments and stuff like that. And what we do now has a long impact on all the people and the livability of the area. And I think you can create something indelibly unique here. You know, you're right on top of a huge recreational area and you're not Portland. And, you know, and there's just a lot of upsides, you know, that's why we kind of decided to live here, because I'm also a cyclist. I ride bikes a lot and I go up that road, you know, once or twice a week, you know. I've been, you know, and I love that. The ability to do that, or, you know, and then all the people I see kayaking and fishing and camping up that area, you know, and it's just huge. But, you know, you're gonna come to the realities of growth, you know, and what you make out of this thing, you know, and you want to kind of keep it the way it is, but it simply isn't going to work like that for you, you know? And so we got to do something intelligent and then make it very livable, you know? I kind of like Bend, what Bend has done, you know, with their whole, you know, they embrace the recreational opportunities of their area immensely, you know? I think I mentioned Riverwalk one time when I was in, and I said, I just love that whole concept. And, you know, it was just beautiful. And, you know, and we build like that, and it adds to the value of our community.
Well, thank you. Any other questions for him? Tara? Oh, we got one here, Paul. Go ahead.
Sure, and I know what this one comes up from other commissions as well too, but first off, Scott, I think you'd helped out on the community grant project a couple weeks ago.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you for that. Appreciate that.
No problem.
But one question that other commissions have been asking is, you know, the time for this is, you know, on the calendar once a month from 2 to 4. Is this a time that you can commit to that will work for you?
Easily. Yeah, I don't, even with all my other activities too. It's, you know, I'm free most days. So.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you. Tara, one last opportunity there. Do you have any questions?
No, I don't think so. No.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Scott. From here, do we appoint or does city council appoint? Okay. Okay,
I make the motion.
So seconded.
so we have a motion and a motion and a second to recommend Scott to city council for their approval. Any further discussion needed? All those in favor, raise your right hand.
I'm raising it.
Okay, all right, unanimously going to the city council then, and they'll make the final determination. And that'll probably be either next Monday or the following Monday, maybe? This Monday. Okay. Excellent. Thanks for coming out. All right, we have some public comment, or was that for the Calvary Chapel? The speaker request forms in here?
Oh, that's from the last week.
Oh, I'm sorry. Gotcha. All right, and so then we have a next meeting date of the 15th of November. And then we have a TSP adoption hearing on the 29th. Probably just more so to let us know that we have some stuff coming up in November. 29th is after Thanksgiving weekend, not Thanksgiving Day, which is good.
Our next meeting's on the 15th of November.
Yes. That's how
I can tell you where I'm gonna be. I'm going to be sitting in a chair, but not like this one. Dental work. Waited 5 years to get it done.
I won't be here.
You won't be here.
On vacation.
Okay, so we're gonna be down 2 for certain.
Yeah.
So let's maybe make the rounds between now and then, and if we need to bump that.
And that's a biggie too, right? That one's the TSP public
Yeah, that's the
comment.
first time that TSP is gonna come in front of the planning.
That's the 29th.
No, the 15th.
15.
Oh, the 15th. Okay, sorry.
Oh, and then if that doesn't happen, then it doesn't kind of hit the series of dates we need it to hit. So let's maybe make the rounds. I should be available that day. I will be available that day.
We like that. We like that, Will. Yeah, are the other 3 commissioners on this call able to confirm? So Ben just confirmed. So Tara and Tom, are you both able to confirm attendance on the 15th of November?
I think I already confirmed yesterday, but let me look.
Tom's checking now. Tara, how about you?
I did, but I don't know yet if I can do the 29th. 15th is a yes.
Okay, great.
And then you said Ryan was unavailable? So we might not be able to make a quorum.
Did she just say Ryan is not available on the 15th?
He's not.
He is not available, correct?
Okay, we should. So that's,
How about the 7th? Can we bump it to the 7th, or is that too soon?
it's too soon because we didn't make the 35-day required state notice deadline for the 7th. That that already has passed. So,
So,
So who's not coming on the 15th then? So that's two.
and Ryan.
Okay. So we got four.
So potentially if Scott gets appointed by the city council, we would have 4th, but if Tara can't be available, then,
Then we're out.
oh yeah, you said you could do the 15th, but not the 29th.
Yes, yeah.
So you do
What?
4.
Why don't we identify another date just in case? It would have to be between the 29th and the 15th though,
How
right?
do you do that if you got a cutoff? What's the cutoff date? You
Say 35 days.
Can't back, she just said you can't back it up, right?
Yeah, can't go any time before that. So we're looking at November 15th.
Do we know if we change the time of day, would Ryan or somebody else be able to make it? If we change the time of day on the 15th or whatever, 16th?
Yeah, 15th.
I'm not sure, but would that change things for Commissioner Hartwig? If we change the time of day?
With the two,
More than likely, yeah.
what's the appointment?
1:30.
Yeah, we can do it in the morning.
Can they get it done in a half hour? Been in here really rummy?
Something we can do.
Then you'll be ready for that dentist appointment.
Yeah, depends on level.
If we change the time, we might as well be changing the date, right?
Huh?
Supposed to be the day.
As far as the notification timeframes.
If the time is after the noticed time, then I think we can just update the notice. I think so I think we could do it in the evening on that day.
And you're out of town altogether, so it's
I'd be available in the afternoon, that's for sure, or evening.
Is Scott still in the room, the new commissioner, assuming he gets
He's
appointed?
right there.
And would the 15th work for him?
He's
said
giving
yes.
us a collective nod, yes.
Okay,
How are you going to get your tooth pulled?
Why don't we reach out to Ryan, see what his schedule looks like,
Talk.
and if we can bump it back and have him there, and then
We're gonna catch.
the possibility of having Scott there, we should have a quorum.
Yeah.
He recommended a good one. He can come after the dentist appointment. Hey, then he won't talk. There you go, right?
Hey, that's a great.
He suggested it.
And that's,
You just asked for my body, you didn't ask for my mind.
that's Wednesday the 15th, okay. Does that sound okay? Like an okay plan? Ask Ryan and then get back to everybody?
So what are you saying?
We're just gonna confirm with Ryan if we bump it back into an afternoon or evening meeting, if he's available.
Okay.
And then we would have you, Tara, myself, Ryan, and possibly Scott, assuming everything goes good on Monday. It's a rough crowd though, city council, so we'll see. And I'm joking.
I don't think we'll be here. Public comment. Right? This isn't a city council combined meeting, right? On the
No, for his confirmation next
Oh,
week.
yeah, we'll see. It'll probably go, whatever, just the council business prior to that.
So, sound like a game plan?
yeah, that sounds good.
Sounds good.
Okay,
And also, can I also just note for Scott's information, right before the city council meeting on Monday at 6 p.m., they're going to be getting a briefing. Oh, on Monday, it's a joint briefing with the planning commission. So the planning commission is encouraged and invited to attend that joint briefing
When were we gonna be told this?
the city council to discuss the transportation system plan. This was emailed out. There were email announcements
Oh, that's why.
gone out,
Okay.
and you will receive the
don't-
packet that will be going out today or tomorrow. And so for Scott's information, this is a really big project that you're coming in at the end on, and you're going to be attending the first public hearing and voting on making a recommendation on the project. So it'd be great, Scott, if you're able to attend on Monday at 6 p.m., attend that joint briefing and just listen in. You won't be attending as a planning commissioner yet because you'll be appointed right after that briefing, but it'll be a good overview of just the basic components of this project that we're proposing and trying to get through adoption hearings.
Taylor, how different is that conversation going to be than the one we had? Was it just yesterday? Yeah, it's on the TSP.
It'll be pretty similar. It'll be slightly shorter because there's it's an hour and a half that we have, and it'll be more of an opportunity for the planning commission and council to discuss amongst themselves, you know, what things you agree with or disagree with or think should be in there, or yeah, whereas at the stakeholder group meeting yesterday, it was we really focused on just trying to get everyone's questions answered and collect any specific feedback or suggestions. So it'll be quite similar, but more of an opportunity for the two groups, the council and planning commission, to understand each other's stance on things also.
And I believe yesterday's workshop is up on the city's YouTube page already. So if anyone wants some light 2-hour viewing, that's available.
And that's at 6 on Monday, is that right?
Yep, 6 p.m.
6 to
on
7:30.
Monday, the 23rd.
Okay, sounds great. All right, any further business? Okay, doesn't sound like it. Let's go ahead and adjourn the meeting at 2:57.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, guys.